Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, FanSided, Daily DDT. My man, how you doing?
Doing great, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. We're taping this live on Friday, August 9th, 2024. My man is back from Cleveland, Ohio. SummerSlam vibes. If you're watching live on Twitter, X, and YouTube, yes, Graham, you are sporting the SummerSlam throwback logo shirt. You can find Graham on social media on X, Twitter at Wrestle Rants. Find myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter J C R U Z, Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. And again, if you're watching us on youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast, we thank you. We really appreciate your love and support from myself and Graham. If you're watching on X and YouTube, got any questions, feedback regarding SummerSlam, Roman Reigns coming back, hit us up in the chat. We'll read it out loud on the show. So, Graham, you were at SummerSlam, Cleveland, Ohio, Brown Stadium. I kept seeing people talk about the energy and the vibes there. Obviously, it was WrestleMania like being in the outdoor stadium.
Mhm.
I heard it was hot out there. So talk to me and how the environment was for SummerSlam.
I think it was cool. I've never been to Bronx Stadium before. I thought it was a nice stadium. They
Mhm.
got really lucky because the rainy weather was on the agenda, was
Yeah.
on the schedule, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. Seemed to be in the on the GPS on the computer, my phone. I looked at it. It said, "Oh, it's going to rain on Saturday and Friday," and I was like, "Fuck!" Like it's an outdoor stadium, and I asked people, "Is there a retractable roof?"
Yeah.
They said
Nope.
no. There is shit over the ring, like they have like a canopy type thing,
Yeah.
and they would have kept going. Um, I know at WrestleMania 37 they stopped for like a half an hour, but that was like a hurricane type thing. That was a little bit different. If it's just
Yeah.
rain, they probably would have kept going, but because that was at that one too, so I remember that was pretty bad weather, so it was a little bit different.
Mhm.
Um, with this one, it would have just rained, but it didn't rain, so they got lucky. But I thought overall it was a great environment. There was a lot of
Mhm.
energy in the audience because I thought the card on paper had potential. I thought it delivered. Ended up being a really really good pay per view, I think, and people were for the first time in a while coming out of SummerSlam satisfied because you got to think for the last couple of years. I mean, 3 years ago when Brock came back, that was pretty cool. But the overall show was kind of a mixed bag, and that was when the Becky beat Bianca thing in like 10 seconds. People were pissed off about that. There really wasn't anything on the show where
Mhm.
people would be pissed off. I would think.
Right.
I mean, everyone has had a lot of things to praise, from the title changes to the storyline developments to the ending and everything else. Roman Reigns being back. It was a pretty significant show, and
Shocker. Shocker. Shocker.
yeah, I know exactly. We all stuck a while ago, but great moment to close the show. And I thought
Mhm.
the crowd was lively all night, even up until the end, through the
Mhm.
Roman returns. And that was cool to see.
So obviously you were there live. I saw half of it when I got home on Saturday night. I saw the other half on Sunday. Um, I thought it was a pretty solid show. 7 matches, no overload, no overkill of the amount of matches. And we spoke about it last week. That trying to determine what would be the main event, and that if you saw the Punk, Drew, and Seth going on the middle, or not the end, you knew that Roman was going to come back at the end for Solo and Cody Rhodes. If that happened to go in the middle of the card, you knew Roman was not coming back. I thought overall good show, a lot of twists and turns, a lot of storylines got put to bed, or maybe some new ones were on the horizon. We saw that the Judgment Day main leaders get pushed out, and there's new people coming in. Obviously, the bloodline is now going on with Roman being back, and tonight on SmackDown, we'll see what happens with that. We got brand new champions all over the place. We got
Yep.
finally your man, a new U.S. champion, LA Knight. We got a new women's champion in Nia Jax. We have a new world heavyweight champion in Gunther. He'll get Orton at Bash of Berlin. So I thought pretty solid show. I love the angle with Dominic and Liv Morgan. Big Liv Morgan fan here. Big Dominic guy over here. Love Rhea, but I think it's gonna be interesting of how they play out her and Damian going forward. Now they've been kind of exiled from the Judgment Day. I
Mhm.
guess Finn Balor is the new leader, if you want to if you want to call him the new leader. What else we had? Also new Intercontinental Champion,
Yep.
Braun Breaker, which I'm very happy for that. So a lot of champions galore. Were you surprised of how many belts change hands?
I was, because I did not think that we would get 4 title changes, let alone 3 in a row. I can't tell you the
Yeah.
last time that happened in WWE. Typically, they don't do back-to-back-to-back title changes because they had Braun Breaker and then LA Knight and then Nia Jax all win titles 3 in a row, and then
Mm.
Gunther later on. So, yeah, that was surprising. And I thought, because, we talked about it previously, Nia had pinned Bayley in a tag team match on SmackDown. I'm
Yeah.
thinking she might not win because of that. And then she won. I'm thinking, I mean, before the Logan Paul Twitter thing from last week, I thought Logan Paul was going to win. And honestly, I still maintain
Yeah.
that was probably the plan. And then that backlash he got there, like, hey, that would be kind of dumb if we did that. Let's just move forward with the title change. I could be wrong. Maybe that was the original plan the entire time. But it certainly felt like Logan Paul would win. Thankfully, he did not. So maybe that's where Logan Paul would have retained, and we wouldn't have had 3 consecutive title defenses, or changes rather. But yeah, I'm glad that they changed as many championships as they did. It felt like WrestleMania-esque in that way, to kind
Yeah.
of move things forward on both brands and kind of freshen the pot a little bit.
What was your what was I know what the moment of the night was for you, but what was the match of the night for you, and what was a match or something that you were kind of like disappointed with, if anything?
Nothing I was really disappointed with. I think Gunther and Priest was probably the best match on the show.
Hmm.
They just beat the shit out of each other. I
Yeah.
like Punk and McIntyre. Some people did not. I talked to people that did not like it as much, which I understand why. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The main event I thought was good. The women's matches were good. The opener was very good. LA Knight and Logan Paul was entertaining. No real bad matches. Everything I thought was either decent, or good or great. So not a night of like bangers either, but I thought what the best part of the show was how they moved forward storylines, which was
Hmm.
very much needed. So yeah, I would say there really wasn't any low points of the show aside from maybe the jelly roll thing. That was kind of silly, but you kind of expected that at the end there with Awesome Truth and A-Town Down Under. But overall, I thought it was a fun show.
How was the crowd? Because I kept seeing maybe you're at the stadium. I'm not. I'm watching at home. But again, it's like, was it rowdy? Was it more like you couldn't tell for like were certain matches not getting the reaction that they were supposed to, or did some get more of a reaction than anticipated?
It was hard to tell because in the press box, the window was closed, so it was kind of hard to hear the crowd reactions, and we had the TVs on to hear the live feed of the show. It wasn't really until the main event that I got to hear it because I was on the floor for that one right before the press conference. And I
Hmm.
thought the other matches, it's kind of hard to speak to. I thought the crowd was good all night, but I think during the main event, I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, they're really quiet for the match because they know Roman's coming out and they're just
Hmm.
waiting." And I did watch it back, and we do sound quiet. In the building, it did not sound that way at all. It sounded like people were,
Yeah.
no, they were waiting for Roman Reigns, obviously, but it felt like they were just watching the match, enjoying the match. It wasn't a great match, but I thought it was a good match between Cody and Solo. I didn't think the crowd got enough credit for that match. Maybe it just didn't sound great because you also have to remember, too, it's 50, 60,000 people, whatever it was, in an open stadium. So the air
Yeah.
always goes up and it just doesn't sound the same. I mean, the issue with it that happens with WrestleMania a lot, where the crowd doesn't sound lively when they're actually pretty decent. So I thought that was kind of my biggest note on the main event specifically, as far as crowd reactions go.
I like how you mentioned, oh, up in the press box, like you sound like, oh, this is like my area, my domain.
Yeah, well,
I'm
just
in
to
the
be
press
completely
box.
transparent, I couldn't really hear the crowd. It was hard because I don't like that. I typically like being able to hear the crowd. Most of the time that's the case. Depending on the place, it depends. But this one did not have that luxury, unfortunately.
And I saw the post thingy. I couldn't tell. Were you there asking questions or no? Were
I
you?
was, but I didn't get to ask a question. This is the first one
Ah,
I have not. I did not get picked, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, did not get picked. But that's fine. I mean, a lot of people that I know got to ask questions, and some people have never been able to ask a question before. So that's cool. I can't ask a question every time. I would love to. I had my hand up for every single person. I
okay.
really wanted to specifically ask Triple H a question, but didn't get to
All right.
that. And it was a long press conference too, because the way they format it now, they do that
Mhm.
post show thing where they go in
Yeah.
and out, and we're just kind of sitting there waiting. But it was fine, and I thought all the questions for the most part were very good, and they had good people out there. So Yeah, unfortunately, I could not ask a question this time. I was at least in the room, thankfully, because some people get
Yeah.
denied access. But I just did not get to ask a question,
So you
unfortunately.
mean to tell me when Hunter says, yeah, I'll take one more, two more, they don't go to Graham from Bleacher Report? What's going on here? Like,
I don't know. I had my hand up, but whoever, I forgot who they went to for that, but I think it was it was a gentleman on the other side.
oh,
Like I said, at least, and it's not about me anyway. I
yeah.
would like to see if I'm not able to ask a question, I'm hoping at least someone else will ask my question if I don't get to ask a question, or whoever asks a question, it will make it a good one. Like I fucking hate when people ask, "Oh, when are they coming back to Cleveland? When are you guys coming back here for SummerSlam or Mania?" Like that shit is the worst. Because what are they going to
Yeah.
say? Oh, next year? Like, of course they're
Yeah.
not
Oh
going to
yeah.
say
Next week we'll come back.
yeah, and I understand. I understand. Like they say that because a lot of the people who ask those questions are local reporters. I
Yeah.
totally get that, but it
Hmm.
just feels like a waste of a question when other pressing, important issues are not being touched upon. So yeah, it is what it is. Better luck next time. If there's a consistent string of press
Hmm.
conferences where I can't ask a question, I might be in the doghouse for some reason. But as of now, no issue. I don't know. I just didn't get to ask a question, so it was totally
That's
fine.
crazy.
But
Yeah. In the
yeah.
doghouse at Cleveland Brown Stadium, dog pound. Yeah. Just fucking makes sense, bro.
Yeah, seriously, it's like, hey, it
Before,
happens, but at least, like I said, I'm glad other people for the first time, some newer people got to ask questions, which is nice.
yeah.
And they're not just going back. I would honestly, if that was me and I was there for the first time and they just keep going back to the same people, I would be a bit upset too. They did go to some people twice, which was a little strange if they didn't go to other people once. But again, that happens, and
Yeah.
that's happened to me too before. So I get both ends of it.
Before I get to these comments, if you're watching live on YouTube or Twitter, we thank you. We appreciate you. Any comments regarding SummerSlam, Roman, anything, hit us up. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I want you to give me some sort of bring me into like that whole scrum thing. Like if you're raising your hand, and obviously they would recognize you for a while now. They know who you are, what
Yeah.
outlet you're from.
Mhm.
Like, is it a selective process? Do they feel like he might ask something that's not so serious, or he might ask something serious, so we're gonna like go away from it? How does that work?
I think they do that. I don't know that for a fact. I've actually talked to the PR people about the whole press conference thing early on when they first started doing them, because I was at I've been at every one of them, most of them. I've been most of them, and I've asked a question. Every single one that I've been at, I've asked a question except for this one.
Yeah.
I've been able to ask one. And early on, I asked the PR people, or one of the PR people, I was like, "What are these supposed to be? Like, are these in kayfabe? Is this real? Like,
Yeah.
what is this supposed to be?" And I'm not to shit on it, but I'm just kind of curious. Like I just need to know what to expect. Because like I've asked kayfabe, not kayfabe questions, but like softball questions, and then people get upset when you don't ask the hard questions. When you ask the hard questions, this WWE, now whether they want that or not, because I mean it's not really who cares, but will they even go to you? I mean, I haven't seen people get bumped from the press box, like or as far as from the press conferences when you ask something like a tough question about Vince, they don't let that person back in. I've never seen that before myself.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't always ask the most hard hitting stuff. I would have asked about some stuff this time because I had some ideas, but they just didn't go to me. As far as who they select, it honestly really isn't. I mean, I always raise my hand anyway, but it really
Mhm.
isn't a hand raising contest. They do pick out who's going to ask questions before the thing even starts. I don't know. On that, I'm not sure about. But like, there have been several instances where they obviously they know who I am, they know my outlet, so they'll just go to me automatically, even if I don't have my hand raised. So
Mhm.
like at the Rumble when Bailey had just won the Rumble, love Bailey, she's great. I didn't have a question for her because this was the same weekend where that whole Vince thing happened. Didn't really feel comfortable asking a question to Bailey, especially because she was the first guest out there. So I'm like, what am I
Yeah.
really going to ask her? Because if I don't ask her about Vince, which why would I at that point? Cody got asked about it, which kind of made more sense. Bailey was an inappropriate person to ask that question to.
Mhm.
I didn't have a question. I didn't really. I mean, I should have had better questions, but they came to me and they're like, "Do you want to ask a question?" Should I have said no? I mean, I could have, but I don't know if they would have gone back to me. And I just make the most of the situation is usually my mindset. If they go to you, you always
Mhm.
say yes, and you just kind of come up with something. Should have had a better question prepared, but I
Yeah.
wasn't raising my hand. Is my point? They went to me probably because they thought I wouldn't ask a difficult question, or they like me, or whatever. The outlet is obviously a big part of it. Which is why, again, but that's not always the thing because, again, why not go to me this time? There were people whose outlets I've never heard of before and they went to them instead, and that's totally fine, but that's not everything. I'm sure there are people who raise their hand. I see some people like flag down the PR people like, hey, you're not going to come to me. I hate doing that. I'm not that. Yeah. Hand stays up the entire time. I hate that. I think that's annoying. If they're going to go to you, they're going to go to you. If they don't, they don't. Just my opinion. But yeah, they don't actually, for complete transparency, I've seen people say, oh, they screen the questions. They don't, dude. If they give me the mic, they don't let you hold the mic anymore. They don't even put you on camera anymore, which is fine.
Yeah.
Maybe people took advantage of that. I don't know. But I could say anything I wanted to, really. And anyone could say anything they wanted to. They don't ask, hey, what are you going to ask about before? They don't say that. I could see some people thinking that, but they don't. So I and anyone else just kind of come up with whatever they want. And do they go back to that person at another point? Yeah, they actually have. And even if it's a dumb question or a serious question, they don't really disencourage people from asking about certain stuff. Maybe they don't like it, but I mean, then don't hold the press conference. So I mean, that's just what it is. So that's my own experience and insight on how these press conferences work. Not always the most legit thing. But they don't. Just to repeat this, because people do not realize this. They do not pre-screen questions, and they do not have questions ready for us to ask. We can ask whatever the fuck we want. It may sound like that sometimes when people ask, oh, what's next for you? That sounds like a pre-screen question or a question they would give us to say. That is shit that people come up with on their own, including myself. So that's how it works.
So if Hunter gave you the final question, I'll take one more. This guy right here, boom. What would you have asked him?
My personal opinion, I mean, this is what I would have had a couple things prepared, and the other two things were not as important, because if my top question got taken, I had a couple things, other things to ask that may not have been as important. My number one question was, and this was not asked, and I know he's going to give a stupid answer, but it is what it is. I was curious about his thoughts and any potential repercussions to the Logan Paul thing on Twitter from last week, because you've seen WWE talent say stuff on Twitter before and they have to take it down, or they're kind of limited in what they can say. Logan Paul, because he's Logan Paul, seems like he could say whatever he wants. It clearly comes across like special treatment to me. It was like that trans post that he put up or whatever, and it was just ill-informed, and it was a stupid thing to say. And he kept it up. He offered like an apology, but not really. And it was kind of weird. I'm just thinking, and I was going to ask any potential repercussions for this, and even if not, what are the limitations and what talent can say on social media? Like, if that's his opinion, whatever. I think it's dumb, but if that's his opinion, whatever. But I don't think if LA Knight had said that, or anyone else, if you're lower level on the card, they wouldn't be able to get away with it. There might be heat on them. They might have to take it down. Logan Paul, they're not going to tell him to take it down. And even Logan Paul said in a post, WWE PR did not, say anything as far as me backtracking. I did that on my own. So that was my question for him. No one asked that. Other people I know were going to ask that. None of us got called, so it is what it is.
I'll tell you one thing, man. I don't envy you. I don't envy that job.
It is tough. It is difficult. People think it's a lot tougher than you think.
I think it's tougher than most, like you just said, most. And I can go in there and ask Hunter a question. I can ask Cody Rhodes. Okay, fam. Someone like me is like, the fan might come out of you, and like, you see everybody like, man, I kind of feel awkward. Like, I ain't supposed to be here. So I raise my hand and they say, oh, yeah, Cody, and you might stutter. You might say the wrong shit. And it's like, all right,
man,
bro, don't come back.
Oh, I mean, they probably wouldn't do that. I mean, from my own experience, they've been very nice, and I've stuttered and I've fucked up shit all the time. And obviously I'm always let back in. I think anyone would be let back in for stuff like that. If you feel like not just you, Randy, I'm just saying in general, anyone is their own worst critic. So you may feel like I completely fumbled the bag there, and I feel like I have multiple times. But in the grand scheme of things, people either don't give a shit or it's really not that big of a deal. But it is difficult, though. I mean, you have to word it correctly, because the thing is, it's not a back and forth. So if you word it incorrectly and they answer a different question altogether, or they take not offense to it, I mean, whatever, you have to really word it properly, because they're not going to come back to you for a follow-up. They're just going to answer that and move on to the next fucking thing. So you've got to make sure you nail whatever question you ask. And I'm not, again, if they go to you, if you don't have a great question, I would at least say, unless I knew someone that had a better question than I did, which I don't really talk to anyone about what questions they have, I'm going to always say yes and have a great question. I've been doing a better job of preparing shit in advance.
Nice.
We don't know who's going to be out there. That's the difficult thing. But yeah, man, it's tough to kind of word things properly. And you got the mic in your hand, they're looking right at you, and it's got to be something good. And people can take your question before you can even ask it. So you got to have a couple things you can ask. It's tough. It's not, we're not saving the world here. Or it's not fucking brain surgery, but I think it's more difficult than these keyboard warriors kind of make it out to be like, oh, I would have asked this. Like, I don't know. And I also have to anticipate what they're probably going to say as well. But some things need to be asked. There's a whole discussion to be had about that sort of stuff.
All right, so these YouTube comments, again, if you're watching live on YouTube, thank you. Also on Twitter/X, whatever you call it nowadays. Any feedback, comments, let us know in the chat. We're reviewing SummerSlam. So Sam, hey Graham, did you know about NXT will have Punk and Orton at NXT on the 1st of October and also October 8th in Chicago and St. Louis?
I did see
right?
that. Yeah, they announced that on Tuesday, I think. I think that's awesome. They can't do that consistently because I don't think NXT would sell out like for their weekly shows on the road, but for their first 2 big shows on the road in Chicago and St. Louis, St. Louis, whatever, in back-to-back weeks, I think is really cool having Punk on the show, Orton on the show. I think it's cool. I think it's
now this coincides with the CW. This is CW NXT. All right, so
them debuting on CW. Yeah, I think that's cool.
All right, so that's the 1st of October, October 8th. Punk and Orton, Chicago, St. Louis. I think I just saw something like an hour ago. Roman's going to be on SmackDown on the 1st on USA. Some shit like that. I just saw like an hour ago.
I mean,
yeah, of course, because Roman's like a big deal.
I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be. I mean, he's back. He's back now, so I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be on that SmackDown, the first SmackDown on USA.
Yeah. Our boy Noob, do you think that the feud between Rhea and Liv can last until WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas? That's some time. 8 months? 8 more months of Liv and Rhea Ripley? 8 months?
That's a long time. I don't think so. I mean, they already had their first match. They've been feuding they were feuding even before Mania this year. So I don't think so, unless they were to go away from it and then come back to it. But even then, I don't really want to see that at Mania. I'd rather see them blow that off before then. Could they? Yes. Do I want to see that? And do I think they will? No, I don't.
So pencil Liv Morgan the next couple of months going into Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble, Mania. Like, how long is she having that championship belt for? And when does Rhea get back? Like, what does Rhea do now?
That's the issue. I don't know. I think Rhea might get the belt back, but the problem is, who do either woman face or feud with coming out of this feud? Because there really isn't a lot of depth in that division right now, in that Raw women's division. They have Rhea, they have Liv, and they have other women. They have a very talented women's roster. Yeah. And none of them feel like threats to that belt at all. Like Lyra Valkyria, I like. They have a lot of these people that are just at the same level. Like, they're all just feuding over nothing. Sonya, Chance Carter, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Damage Control. They're all like, all 9 women are just feuding with each other and having random fucking matches just to kill television time. Yeah. And none of them feel like threats. So you can cancel all 9 of them out automatically. I don't really know what you do, honestly, at WrestleMania. Unless you bring someone in or call someone up, I honestly don't really know.
I'm going to call Trish Stratus. We're going to call Lita. We're going to call all the...
I mean, even if Becky Lynch were to come back, even if Becky were to come back and go to the Raw brand again, we just saw her in Rhea last year. And I mean, they could do her in Rhea again because Becky lost, so she can beat Rhea. But that doesn't really intrigue me. And we already saw her in Liv as well. So I don't know. It doesn't really interest me personally.
What was the injury Charlotte had?
She had like 3. She had like a torn meniscus, torn MCL, torn ACL. So I think she should be back shortly. I mean, you saw her, but at that Mania thing that we saw her at that WWE World or whatever, I mean, I don't know what her physical status is, but I thought she'd be back extremely soon after that. I mean, people were saying, oh, she'd be back in Mania. Obviously not. It's 4 months later. It still hasn't happened. But, I think that was in December. People were saying around SummerSlam, and it's already past SummerSlam. So I think it's actually taken longer than I thought. Hopefully she is back within the next month or 2 because I think she probably should be, but I've heard no updates on her status. So I'm not sure.
So hold up. How long she's been out for?
8 months already.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be longer. I haven't heard anything about her being back anytime soon, but that could be anything.
So we could say hopefully at least by Mania, Charlotte will be back.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, she'll be back by Mania. Hopefully she'll be back a lot sooner.
By the Rumble?
Yeah, no, she'll be back by the Rumble, I think.
All right,
In the
so
Rumble, maybe.
let's keep going. By Survivor Series?
I think so. I thought if you asked me when she got hurt, when I thought she'd be back, I would have said SummerSlam. Obviously not, because she wasn't back. But dude, she could be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it is the post SummerSlam SmackDown. I'm thinking within the next month or two she'll be back. In my opinion, just based on how long she's already been out. And she was training like a psycho too. So I don't know.
Punk and McIntyre was really good, especially with Rollins. Did you like Seth as the portrayal of Seth as the referee? Obviously, when you're watching at home, you're not seeing like they had a camera on him and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So he's talking shit to Drew and Punk and everything. When you go home and watch it, did it make you feel like, damn, this is like even better than what I was seeing in live in live in the stadium? And did it add to like, okay, I think Seth did a really good, decent job as the referee, and then also Drew winning. I had Punk. I think you had Drew. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I thought it was good. I mean, it was probably the most polarizing match on the show, to be honest. I talked to people right afterward, several people online and in person that were like, I did not like that match. It was should have been a grudge match, should have beaten the shit out of each other, and they were talking the entire time. They were feuding over a bracelet. Rollins got too much involved with the talking and shit. That didn't bother me because it was very storyline driven. Yeah. And I know that grudge match, which probably should have been this one because McIntyre fucked over Punk multiple times. But I can get why this one should have been the grudge match, which is why I wasn't really high on Rollins being in there anyway. That was my biggest complaint going into it, was that I wanted a grudge match between McIntyre and Punk, but they wanted to get Rollins on the show. They wanted to intersplice the Punk Rollins stuff. Rollins is apparently hurt again, or he's still hurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the Bronson Reed attack on Monday, apparently, according to Meltzer anyway, from last night, was supposed to designed to write off Rollins for a while. So
again,
I liked
damn.
it. Yeah, I mean, apparently that's the report. I don't know how true that is, but could be back in a couple of weeks. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think with Punk and McIntyre, though, I thought it was a good match. And again, I'm fine with them not getting that grudge match in on Saturday because I think we'll still get that match at Bad Blood or Bash in Berlin. We're still building to that, so it's fine.
Yeah, I thought the match was good, more storytelling based. And again, like when Drew says, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of you," and Punk goes on Raw and say, "Hey, you ain't do that. I'm still here. I lost, but you ain't beat the shit out of me." So it kind of leads to this got to go one more round to Bad Blood. I don't think Bash in Berlin is gonna get that. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but if you're gonna settle feuds and this is the end all be all of a feud, you might as well do it at Bad Blood. What kind of match? Maybe Hell in a Cell, maybe Last Man Standing kind of vibe, but I think there's one more match in there between Punk and Drew, and then it's like even if that, it's like, all right, does Drew win again? And he's done with Punk. Like
Punk's got to win at some point.
All right, so if you say that, then they should go at Berlin. Punk wins that, and then the end all be all should be at Bad Blood.
I mean, I think the end all be all should be a Bad Blood anyway. I mean, that would be fine if Punk won the feud. I honestly don't really care who wins the feud.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have McIntyre win again or do a draw, kind of the finish of what you were expecting at SummerSlam. You can do that at the next pay-per-view. I think Punk winning ultimately would make more sense, but if you want to have Drew win, that's fine. I just don't know where. Here's the thing. Whoever wins, where do they go from there? You would think the world title. I don't think we're getting McIntyre and Gunther for the title. So I would probably put Punk over ultimately. Because he hasn't won a match yet being back in the company. That's fine. I was actually in favor of him losing at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But you can do him and Gunther in the fall if we're going to get Gunther and Rollins at Mania, maybe. I don't know. A couple different options. But I think Punk should definitely get a win at some point. That's a must.
All right. Also, Asuka's been out. Knee injury. She ain't coming back till 2025. Damn.
I didn't know how long she was going to be out, but she has already been out for 3 months, which sucks.
Damn, all these fucking injuries, man. All these injuries, be like, all right, it's not like, yo, I hurt my ankle 2 weeks, I'll come back. It's like, yo, I see you in 4 months.
Yeah, no, it's a long time, yeah. Thankfully, they have the depth now. I mean, I mentioned the depth issue before, but like, thankfully, they have enough people to where they can kind of fill in the spots. I mean, if Asuka was around right now, I'm not even really sure what the fuck she'd be doing anyway, aside from the damage control stuff. So it's not a big blow. But still an unfortunate injury nonetheless.
When you saw Tiffy Tom looking to cash in, were you more like, oh god, like, or like I'm happy Nia won, but I hope Tiffy comes out, or I hope Tiffy doesn't come out because it's going to be the same thing we just saw recently with a cash in at a SummerSlam.
There was no chance she was cashing in. As soon as SmackDown happened and Tiffany got that customized briefcase, there
Yeah.
was -0 chance,
Mm,
below 0 chance that Tiffany was cashing in. Even when Tiffany came out, I'm thinking she's not cashing in. They just gave her her own customized briefcase a
true.
day ago, less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Why would they have her cash in successfully tonight? And they didn't. And she shouldn't have. They can really drag out the Nia Tiffany thing, and they're friends, but are they really friends? Will Tiffany cash in on her? That
Yeah.
story can be told for the fall. I mean, I already expected this a while ago, even before Tiffany won the briefcase. And I think that's the right route to take. I don't know who you would turn babyface, Nia.
Mm.
I don't know, but that was the right outcome. I like Bailey a lot. They didn't do a whole lot with her title run. Hopefully now this kind of freshens her up. Either she goes away for a while or she comes back in chase mode, and that she kind of benefits from being back in chase mode. I don't know. Yeah, I'm wasn't a fan of her title run entirely. I thought it was good. Could have been better. Now we see where they go with her next.
Um, I did see somewhere before going to Roman coming back. And I want to get this right. That my boy Kaz, who does the Ringer show, I think he did the show with Shoemaker earlier in the week, recapping SummerSlam. And for what they were hearing was that there was like legitimate emotions and tears from like the people who were involved in Judgment Day, like they're actually breaking up for the storyline purposes. And it's like, yeah, on TV, yeah, we're at odds, we're not getting along, we're gonna break up and go our separate ways. But in reality, the Judgment Day has been together for, I would say, 2 years with this iteration of Priest,
Yeah,
Rhea,
over 2 years. Yeah,
uh, Dominic, and
McDonough.
but JD not the last 2 years, right? McDonough?
Oh
No,
no, he joined last year. Yeah, no, I mean the
last
last
year
2 years it's really been Damian, Finn, Rhea, and Dom. Yeah,
Finn. That's why I'm missing Finn,
yeah,
and a little sprinkle of R-Truth.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but like just kind of showed the real emotion. Like, all right, now we're not gonna travel together. We're gonna be in different storylines, and you plug
Mm-hmm.
in Liv to replace me and this and that. So like, I find it kind of like cool. Like, you know, again, we break up on TV, but in real life, like this whole Judgment Day really has meant a lot to their careers. So like, if 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 Edge does not start Judgment Day years ago and bringing in Rhea and bringing in Damian Priest and believing in them and what they can become 2 years
Mm-hmm.
later, world champions and main eventing WrestleMania and all that, like we don't know where their careers would be. So this Judgment Day faction means a lot. So I kind of get why Ray would be so emotional about it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they spent so much time together. They're all legitimately friends too,
Yeah.
so I get it. I mean, obviously, it was the right time to split up the group and go in a different direction with different members. But I could see why they were upset to split up because they've been so close and have been, so friendly for so long now. So I could totally understand that.
Yes. So like if we break up, I'll be sad.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be
Just don't
crying.
turn on me. Do not turn on me. I will not turn on you. Just don't turn on me. That's
Okay,
your part.
Graham. We're about 35 minutes in. Big moment of the night for SummerSlam. Roman Reigns, the original Tribal Chief, OTC, brand new shirt, does come back at SummerSlam. Mick Solo lose the match. We had Bloodline rules. Everybody came out attacking Cody. You saw Randy Orton. You saw Kevin Owens. Typical like how it was at WrestleMania. Cody does get the victory. Roman stands in the middle of the ring after hitting Solo and kind of looks at Cody like a nod of respect to a degree. He walks out
Mhm.
like, and he kept looking at him and kept looking at him like, I'm not here for you right now, but at some point in time, like, you know what time it is. But
Yeah.
we're gonna see a babyface Roman Reigns when that time comes. Your overall package of how they laid out the return for Roman, I heard there was brand new music that kind of maybe threw some people off,
Hmm.
that didn't recognize the theme. He got a brand new shirt. Him and Cody are like respect, and now it's like, what do they do for SmackDown? So your overall thoughts of how they portray Roman's return?
I thought it was great. I mean, as soon as on SmackDown they announced that it was a Bloodline Rules match, I mean, that made it kind of clear
Yeah,
that Roman was coming back during the actual match and not afterward.
Mm.
So that kind of telegraphed that finish. But I thought the way it was laid out was well done. Orton coming out first, Owens coming out, Gorillas of Destiny, Jacob Fatu, and then Roman Reigns ultimately. I thought was great. The new music I loved because that was the same song that he used. I don't know why people don't realize this. A lot of, I mean, everyone's been saying, "Oh, they changed the song." It was the same song that he used when he came out of WrestleMania this year. The orchestra version of it. So I don't know if he's going to use that permanently or if it was just for Sunday. I mean, or Saturday. I would have him use it permanently. I think it's a fucking amazing song.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, maybe that threw people off, but the reaction was still loud as fuck. I would say the roof got blown off, but there was no roof, but it was still a very loud reaction. And yeah, I thought it was great. I thought the reaction was better in person. I think people thought it was a little less, not as loud as they thought, but it's also not like a 10,000 person arena. If this was on SmackDown, that would be a little bit different. In Chicago, the
Yeah.
place would have gone berserk.
Of
Same
course.
thing with like the Hardy Boys return. The reaction was incredible, but like it would have been it would have sounded louder with less people in a smaller building because the acoustics and whatever. But I will say this: the one thing that was better about it, watching back on Peacock after I was there, was the commentary. I know it was obvious who Roman was going for. We know that. But I liked how they played up. All right, Roman's here, but who is he attacking as he's walking towards the ring? Is it the guy that said he's the new tribal chief in his absence, or is it the guy that beat him for the belt? And he would have very much a reason to attack both guys, but he only went after Solo. And he had that great stare down with Cody. I don't know if that leads to the Roman and Cody 3 at Bash or whatever. But I liked that a lot. I thought the execution was great. Cody not winning on his own, Cody needing Roman to help him. I mean, he already had Orton and Kevin help him, and the bloodline interfered. I get that. I would have rather he beaten Solo and then Roman returns. But maybe there's a good reason as to why that didn't happen. I'm not really sure, but I still thought it was good for what it was, though, and I thought it came off awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Cody could have won, and then Bloodline still attacked Cody, and then Roman comes out. So it don't seem like, all right, you beat me at WrestleMania because you had everybody fucking help you, and then you beat Solo because everybody fucking helped you. I know you beat AJ and then you beat the other guys, Logan, by yourself, but when it comes to the bloodline, you need help, Cody. And I get what you're saying. Like at some point in time, he needs a clean win, and you could do all the smart shit afterwards. But I thought it was great. It was the best unkept secret in the world. We all kind of knew Roman was going to come back to a degree.
Yeah.
But now it's like, how often do you see Roman going forward? I know he's on SmackDown tonight, but how often are we going to see him? And the next page of that story is now with Solo, Tama Tonga, and those guys. Now you're building towards. Are you building towards Bash in Berlin? Are you going to wait till War Games 3 months from now? Like we don't know what's going to happen, especially with Cody. Could now who does Cody go? Who's next for Cody? As far as championship goes, is it going to be a rematch? I don't think so. Does it get Roman at Bash? No. So your man might be kind of like taking a little break from now for a little bit, because who's next? And that's the question that's got to be answered. Who's next in line for Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not sure. I thought it would be Orton, but he's obviously on Raw doing the Gunther thing now. I don't think he's on Raw permanently, but we'll get to that in a moment. I honestly don't really know. Maybe he gives Owens a favor title shot for helping him at SummerSlam. They have not built up anyone else. They have not. They could do Roman and Solo in a triple threat, but do they want Roman and Solo in the same match this soon? I don't know. Do we get Roman and Cody, or Roman and Cody 3? No, I don't think so. I feel like it's way too soon for that. I would wait. If you're ever going to do that, it would be a lot later down the road. I don't want to see Cody and Solo again. I'm not even really sure why that would make sense, because Roman back, so why would he not factor into the equation? There really isn't many other good options. They don't have a lot of main eventers on SmackDown right now. They have not built up anyone else. Logan Paul already got a title shot and lost.
Yeah.
AJ Styles already got a bunch of title shots and lost. They don't really have anyone else ready. Bobby Lashley's leaving. Carmelo Hayes is in the mid card right now. Andrade's not at that level. Baron Corbin's currently not at that level.
Jey Uso's on Raw.
Who?
Jey Uso's on Raw.
Oh, Jey Uso's on Raw. Yeah, I mean, Jacob Fatu. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even do that. So I'm very interested to see what happens on SmackDown tonight as far as that goes, because I don't think they're going to go to Berlin and Cody will not be on the card. We've said that before about other pay-per-views, and he would be on the card anyway. So I think he will be on the show. I just don't know what he does.
Tough spot. I would say tough spot.
You can't have him get overshadowed by Roman. That's the biggest thing. Got to be careful with that.
I mean, Cody could use a month off. He's been going pretty hard since he got back years ago. He's been going, aside from the injury, he's been going nonstop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that would be fine. I don't know if that's what they do. But again, when he comes back, Roman's going to be the central focus, and that's okay. But you got to make sure Cody's title run is not devalued or overshadowed by whatever Roman and the Bloodline are doing. It's got to be A1, A2, or 1A, 1B, whatever. It's got to be equal. It cannot be Roman's here and then Cody's like a mid-card champion just holding the belt for whatever reason. Like, it's got to be equally important. I don't even know how often Roman's going to be around. He might only be around for a couple weeks or just for a night, and then he disappears again until like September, October, November. We don't know yet, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I was gonna look at this, bro. Ever since the draft happened, I'm like, who the fuck is on what roster? And AJ, SmackDown. You said no Andrade. Yeah, so it's not looking good for Cody. This is more like a time off kind of thing. There's no Money in the Bank guy because Drew already used it. Yeah, the heavy hitters are on Raw. Punk, Rollins, Drew, Gunther.
They have people on SmackDown. They just don't make sense right now. That's the problem.
So it's got to be KO or Orton. It's got to be.
I mean, Orton's facing Gunther, so it's got to be KO, right?
Got to be KO. Like, yo, I looked out for you, fam. Yo, can I get a fucking title shot?
Yeah, maybe he turns heel. I don't know.
No, that's Orton. I feel Orton is gonna
maybe both.
Fuck it.
Maybe helping you for months. What are we getting out of this? Nothing.
I don't know. It could be Triple H.
Triple H, is that what you said? Triple threat.
I said Triple H. I said I don't know who else. Who else?
Fuck it, why not?
Rey Mysterio.
He's on Raw.
I don't know who else. I don't know. Austin Theory.
God,
Dominic, no. You want Dominic against?
Hey, listen, I will say this though. Maybe they don't have anyone on SmackDown ready. Maybe the deal is this: they let Orton go to Raw to challenge for the world title for the show, and then in return, someone from Raw gets to challenge Cody at Bash in Berlin. They don't win, but what about that? I mean, that could make sense.
Sami Zayn.
Sammy would be fine. Sammy would be fine. I mean, he's facing Braun Breaker on Monday for the IC title. So if they establish Cody's next challenger tonight. It wouldn't be Sami Zayn. Braun Breaker, no, he's the IC champion now.
Oh, I know. We're getting Cody Shinsuke Part 3.
Oh God, no. God, no.
Part 7.
Love Shinsuke. No, we have not seen Shinsuke on SmackDown since he got drafted. He has not made a single fucking appearance on the show.
Damn. And Chad Gable's on Raw. The Wyatts are on Raw. Like, it's a lot going on that show.
Yeah, Raw's a bit better right now, but we'll see what happens on SmackDown coming after tonight. We'll see.
Real
Jade
quick,
Cargill, I don't know.
All right, let's wrap up. That's right. You said no Bobby Lashley, Street Profits.
Bobby would have been perfect, but he's gone, so or about to leave.
Yeah, that's tough. I did see, again, if you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, hit us up. I did see the Lucha Bros might be leaving AEW. Ricky Starks might be leaving AEW. So is that true? Like, what's going on? Are we jumping ship?
I mean, I feel like it's just a crazy year because a lot of people are switching sides. In the last year alone, you had Edge go to AEW, Punk went to WWE. Jade Cargill went to WWE. Ricky Starks on his way to WWE. Ethan Page jumped over. You mentioned the Lucha Bros. I feel like that's cool. I don't know how far they're going to go in WWE. I'm kind of worried for them, but they've done all they can do in AEW. So if they want to change the scenery, that's fine by me. Ricky Starks is, I think, younger. He can go farther, I think, in WWE long term. So I think they'd be both great gets, honestly, for the NXT WWE roster, specifically WWE. Motor City Machine Guns are still apparently WWE bound at some point. I think that's cool. I think they deserve to be there. Yeah, WWE's going to pick up a lot of great people if they do indeed sign all of these people. And then AEW is not missing out either. They will probably at some point get Bobby Lashley. He seems to be on his way out. We might get the Hurt Business in AEW. That's pretty cool. Ricochet, he's going to debut there soon. So I think there's a lot of people going back and forth, which is cool to see.
So we're gonna trade Bobby and Ricochet for Lucha Brothers, right?
And Ricky Starks.
Starks, and then on top of that, we're getting Motor City Machine Guns. All right, cool.
Yeah, and there might be more people going to AEW too. But I honestly, even if you take out the Machine Guns out of the equation, I think Lucha Bros and Ricky for Bobby and Ricochet. I think that's a fair trade, my opinion.
Anything else from SummerSlam that I'm missing that I didn't bring up or anything?
I don't think so. I just enjoyed the show overall. I thought it was newsworthy. It was a show that needed to happen to move stuff forward and to inject new life into these shows, which were kind of lacking some energy prior to SummerSlam. They had a string of shows that were hot, kind of cooled down a little bit prior to SummerSlam. They rearranged the puzzle pieces, so to speak, a little bit at the pay-per-view. And I thought Raw was great on Monday, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do on SmackDown tonight.
So yeah, a rumor is Bobby's contract is going to expire this weekend. MVP's expired last weekend.
Yeah, he's free. Yeah.
Okay. Last point before I get you out of here. We are taping this on August 9th. It's live Friday, which happens to be the 25th anniversary of probably one of the greatest debuts. Chris Jericho going to the WWF. August 9th, 1999, on Raw in a segment with The Rock. And I did not know that until I woke up this morning. I saw a fucking tweet saying, from USA Network. Jericho, and it had the photo of him in the fucking shiny gray thingy. And I said, wow, like 25 years ago, bro, Jericho debuting that shit. And it was like, no social media, the internet was still young, so people in the crowd had signs for Jericho, like they knew. So, and it was like, all right, what better way to debut him than be in the ring or a segment with The Rock, and they go back and forth on the microphone, and it's like that was like the one major person who jumped ship to kind of set that tone, like, oh, now if Jericho was out, and later on it was the Benoits and the Guerreros, like, oh, this is over. This Monday Night War is over. But seeing Jericho debut there, 25 years is up. People say that and Kane debuting in '97 are the top two debuts in the company history. I would agree with that. What are your thoughts 25 years later on Jericho debuting with World Wrestling Entertainment?
It has stood the test of time for sure. It's an all-time debut, probably the best debut, if not the Kane one, and maybe even the Kane one. Because with Jericho, it's amazing. People kind of at one point they did misremember where he debuted in such grand fashion, thinking he was such a star out of the gate. He actually wasn't. I mean, he was in that moment. But the fallout was he was on heat. Like, he wasn't really doing much for a while. Like, it took him a long time to kind of find his footing back in the main event level with people like The Rock. Yeah. But that first night was great. People knew it was coming. It wasn't the first shot, like, of people going from WCW to WWE. Big Show had already done it. X-Pac had already done it, among other people. But he was the first one. It's like, all right, this is a guy that was totally underutilized in this other company that will go on to become one of the greatest of all time. And the execution of it was great. It was in Chicago. Super hot crowd. The delivery of Jericho's promo was great. Yeah, it still lives on today, and he's still doing his thing for better or for worse over in AEW. But it's cool to see.
Jericho's still going on, man. Y2J, many reiterations of the character. Give him credit for that. That theme song. I mean, we ain't gonna do it today, but you start ranking top 10, top whatever, like, Walls of Jericho is up there, and it just fits him, his character, personality, and those who were watching live on Raw that night, which I was.
Yeah.
And just how the Titantron flipped to Jericho's name. because you heard music. You're like, what the fuck going on? Obviously, they had the whole Millennium Countdown. And it's like we didn't know what the fuck was going on and how it played into Y2J, playing off Y2K. Then the name comes up, boom, break the walls down. Oh, Walls of Jericho. Oh shit. So like that theme song, if you want to tell me, like that's top 10 territory. Top 10.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely up there. I mean, I don't know where it falls exactly. I mean, I might even go top 5, but it's such a great song. When he does come back to WWE at some point, does he use his Judas song from AEW? Does he go back to using Walls of Jericho off the bat? It would certainly be in the top 5 though, because that Walls of Jericho song is amazing. But Jim Johnston was just banger after banger. We just don't have it like that anymore, unfortunately. They don't make him like that anymore.
So you think Jericho has one more run left?
I don't know about run at this point. His run in AEW has been pretty fucking abysmal. So, I mean, not so far, but like recently, I have not enjoyed a lot of what Jericho has done. If you were to come back for like a Rumble to Mania type thing, I mean, the guy can still go. It's just that a lot of what he's involved in is fucking terrible. Like the learning tree stuff he's doing right now is awful television. I think
that's what I meant. Come back, like he'll do it like a one-off, like
that's a run. Yeah,
when it's all said and done, I'm gonna come back at a Mania, a Rumble, and then call it a day.
According to him, he will not. I mean, he thinks that he doesn't need to retire in WWE, which is true. I would be surprised if we never saw another Jericho match in WWE ever again. I would have done it like his contract expired in 2022. He resigned, and he's just been doing nothing but garbage since then. I would have rather seen him go back for one little last run and then wrap it up. I don't know how much more of these he has left in him, but I do think we will see Jericho back in WWE at some point. Listen, the Hall of Fame doesn't really mean anything, and he has said like, "Oh, there's no physical Hall of Fame, so it means nothing." Dude, they all say that, and they all accept the nod at some point. They all go fucking it. So he will be no different. I just don't know when that is. Probably a lot later down the road because he's got a cushy spot in AEW as like a top, not executive, but like he controls his own shit. He controls his schedule. There's no reason for him to go back. I don't think he will anytime soon.
So real quick, do we know offhand when his contract with AEW is over?
Either 2026 or 2027. I think he signed a 4 or 5 year deal in 2022. So he's going to be there for a while. He's already early 50s.
See, like now, if you told me 2025, all right, I get one more Jericho, John Cena.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. Yeah.
Nah, but
that would have been cool though.
Come on, Jericho, get out the contract, man. We want to see Jericho, Cena one more time. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know what Jericho's doing now. I don't watch AEW like that, so I have no idea what he's doing now.
You don't want to know. He's feuding with that guy Hook, who I like, but it's been going on for months, and it sucks. It's just terrible television.
That's crazy, right? How AEW
is really bad, man. Yeah, a lot of the shit he's done the last couple of years has been really, really bad.
Come on, come home, Jericho. It's time. Come home. I'll give you one more year in AEW. Go fight the Ortons and the Cenas, and come on, everybody come back home. You, Edge, Rusev, come on, it's time. Moxley, come home.
He ain't coming back either. At least not anytime soon.
Nah, we need one more. We need a Shield WrestleMania.
I agree.
Shield WrestleMania, the final match of their careers, whatever it's going to be. You got Seth freaking Rollins, you got the Tribal Chief, and you got John Mox. Come on.
I agree. That would be cool.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but Graham Matthews, find him on Twitter at WrestleRant for Bleacher Report and FanSided DDT. You find myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter JCRUZ. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thumbs up on youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. We really appreciate your love and support for the program. Graham Matthews, Randy Cruz, 2 out of 3 Falls Podcast. Got SmackDown tonight. Let's see what happens, man.
I look forward to it, brother.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too.
All right, bet.